Hello, this is David, and this video is going to be different. It's going to be different in the delivery. It's going to be different in the editing style, and everything is different. The world is different today. So yesterday, we all learned of the passing of Eddie Van Halen, which reminds us all of our mortality, reminds us of how precious life is here, and also reminds me of how great Eddie is. So, okay, I had planned a video today from the What Can We Learn From series. It was all ready to go, scheduled for today, featuring David Gilmour, and it just didn't feel right to not do something, just kind of paying my respects to Eddie. And so I'm changing that. You will get that video on David Gilmour later on. Today, we're gonna have an episode on featuring Eddie Van Halen. What can we learn from Eddie? Well, everything. I don't know that you're gonna learn everything in this video though. Again, it's not really planned. I'm just gonna go for it. So we're just gonna listen to a few samples from, when I think of Eddie, I think of these samples. There's 7 of them. We're gonna go through them, and we're going to try to, first of all, appreciate the music, appreciate what Eddie did for music, and maybe take some concepts from these samples that we can apply into our own playing, so that maybe a little piece of Eddie can live through his music teachings, I guess. And I'll tell you a story about Eddie in just a little bit, something personal. But for now, let's get into sample number 1. There's already so much in there. But the one thing I think, Hot for Teacher, the solo section, the one thing that I think is easy to take away is more of a compositional thing. So the whole song is kind of this A. Dorian vibe, kind of a beat blues, tons of blues licks in there. And that's for the whole song. And then Eddie does this thing there, and this is an F sharp Dorian. So there's this change of key. And that's something that oftentimes Eddie will do to kind of make his solo section in the song really stand out. Obviously, the licks, the delivery, everything will make it stand out, but I feel that it stands even more out because of the way that it's built in the song with that change of key. And in this case, going from A to F sharp, that's a minor third below, that's an easy way to do it. So if you're writing something, rock, blues type of thing, and you want your solo to stand out, just try a different key for the solo. And the minor third below or the minor third above will oftentimes work. Another reason I selected this sample from Hot Teachers is that within about a minute long, not even, you hear everything that really makes Eddie stand out and recognizable. You have such as this tapping lick, trend picking, you're picking a note really fast, down, up, alternate picking, lots of that. All that is minor pentatonic blues licks, traditional blues licks, but played, faster and with the fun factor that Eddie puts into his music. And then the harmonics are there. Like all those things are really staple moves from Eddie. So you got the tapping, the harmonics, the faster blues licks, all of that. It's pretty remarkable. Just I think it's like 30 seconds, a 30-second solo. You have it all. Let's move on to our next sample. This is the song Jump, the solo section. Is there anything more recognizable than this? I don't think so. This solo is just classic. It's probably one of my favorite Eddie Van Halen solo. So again, you have all those things that make Eddie who he is, but I think one thing we can take from this is, let's say we have a section of solo to play over, like, I don't know, 8 bars. here, we see that I think Eddie approached each of these bars as separate mini solos, separate mini ideas that are all coherent, that create this bigger thing, but I think he approached it really segment by segment, and you can hear that segmentation in the ideas. Check this out. Here, I'll point out the ideas as they come. First idea. Second one. Third one. And then that last one kind of ties into the rest of the song. So really, segment by segment, I think Eddie was making sure that he's using different ideas, different concepts that are still coherent, create this masterpiece of a solo. And what do we have here? Probably 8 bars? I'm not sure, I didn't count, but really short again, very, very short, but packed. It's a story. You got the opening statement, which oftentimes will be a note that he'll play, or a dive bomb, which we'll see in a future sample, or a high band, or something to say, hey, now it's my turn. And then we have the actual content that, think of it as a book. You got the book cover. In this case, it's the bow, that note. You open the book, and then you've got all these cool ideas, these chapters, and then you're closing the book and making it really like its own mini song within a song. And that's the lead out with those ascending scales going back into the main, oops, I missed it, sorry. And then back into the rest of the song. It's awesome. And you also have this change of key here, right? That we had in the Hot for Teachers sample. So really, it's like a mini song within a song. So really, I think what we can learn so far is more of a compositional aspect, making sure that what you're playing will stand out and putting everything together so that does stand out. And that means also maybe changing the key and building your solo like a story. Okay, let's take a listen to the next sample. I love this riff. This was the first Van Halen riff that I've ever learned. I don't even think that I knew Van Halen at that time, but this riff came out in this French magazine. I can't remember, maybe Guitariste or something like that. And anyways, there was the tab for this thing, came with a CD, a backing track. I learned it, and that was my introduction to Van Halen. This song, Running with the Devil. What I really love about this particular riff is that the riff is played over this steady drone, bass drone, pedal bass thing, where Michael Anthony is playing those E flats. They were tuned a half step below, we'll call it E. And everything that Eddie is playing, those chords, is attracted to that E, making this a modal riff. And I think this brings maybe a level of expression and a kind of a storytelling thing that is deeper than just playing a riff built around maybe a minor pentatonic scale. The fact that it's all attracted to that will create those intervallic movements that brings rock music, in this case, to a different, I don't want to say level, to a different place. So it's really blending, I think, the rawness, fun of rock with some classical compositional elements as well. And you hear that, you know that Eddie has that sensitivity. Being a keyboard player, piano player, you hear it in his tapping, his choice of notes, and also in his riffs. So that's why I love the Running with the Devil riff. We're going to continue with the riff aspect. Take a listen to this one. I love that phase thing coming in on the last few notes there. So Ain't Talking About Love, that riff is quite different from the one we just talked about, the Running with the Devil one. Because here we have, well, these arpeggiated chords, and we really have the movement of these chords that is all given by the guitar. There's no pedal bass there. It's not really modal. It's really simple chord progression. That is totally born from Eddie probably sitting on a couch and messing around with the guitar and just finding something kind of fun to play. I think the key word is really fun here. having fun with the instrument. That's something that we all saw when Eddie was playing. He made us want to play because it looked like a fun thing to do, not a complex thing to do, just a fun exploration type of game where even though Eddie had a perfect mastery of the instrument, I feel that he was the type of guy who still enjoyed just playing on his own, right? At home with the guitar and just trying different things and, oh, that sounds cool. I'm gonna use that in a song. So if there's one thing that I think Eddie would like to remind us is to just keep having fun with the instrument and explore it, and don't approach it like something that can be completely mastered, but approach the guitar like a cool game that you can figure out how to use, a cool toy that you can figure out how to use so many different ways. So that's what this particular intro reminds me of. Next sample. You recognize it already, right? Of course, the solo from Beat It, Michael Jackson. And I think this was mostly improvised, but it sounds like it's written too. So he probably had a few key things in there. We'll continue listening a little bit, but there are some key moments I think that he knew he was going to play, and in between kind of filled in the blanks. Classic. Who hasn't heard this and hasn't want to like pick up the guitar and learn how to play? It sounds so much fun. I think this was one of those key points when Eddie knew, okay, at this point I'm going to do this, different movements. I think he had the concept of a river to be crossed very well established in his mind. He probably didn't call it that way, but I think he had that. If you're new to the channel, you probably have no clue what I'm talking about. This is kind of the way that I see a solo. You have, say, 8 bars to play a solo. That's your river. You need to cross the river. You're starting here and you're going to end here. There are multiple ways of crossing. You can recklessly try to cross the river and just hope for the best. Or you can write the whole thing so you know exactly that from here to here, you're going to swim this way, and here to here, you're going to swim this way, and then you'll make it through. Or you can throw big rocks in the river. So maybe you'll have a rock right here, another one here, and another one here. These rocks are written things or planned things. Maybe it's a technique. Okay, at this point, I'm going to do the tapping thing. Or maybe at this point, I really need to hit this note because that note really makes the whole thing elevated or something like that. Now, these rocks are things you can rest on. You know that you don't have to play the 8 bars. You don't need to look at these 8 bars. You just need to look at from the starting point to bar number 2 where you have one of these rocks. In between, well, you can rely on your improvisational skills, the automatic licks that you're playing. I think that's how Eddie approached this. I think that was a rock there, that lick. Maybe he knew he was gonna do that tapping thing. And then this was definitely playing at the end. So that trem pick, that's classic Eddie, where down, up, really fast movement, and then ascending like a series of double bends. Does that a lot, and it's a great way to get out of his solo. I think that's one thing that I would take out of Eddie's music as well. Something we could learn from it is that you can plan your solos while keeping them fresh by strategically placing things like an intro to your solo, an outro, you know how you're gonna get out, and then in between, depending on the length of the solo, you have little strategically placed elements that will allow you to breathe and just look at the next rock instead of looking at, oh, in 10 bars I'm done. I've got to fill in all this space. That's one thing I would take out of it. Okay, the last sample is, of course, I just need to do this here. Who hasn't been inspired by this? Eruption. And you know what's amazing? Is that this song was released in 1978. 1978. This was way ahead of its time. Even today, you hear this, it's like, wow, that's amazing. At the time, like tapping wasn't as popular. I can't talk today, I'm really sorry. C'était pas très populaire à l'époque. Okay, you don't understand French maybe, but it wasn't. And 1978, there was no YouTube. There was no, you can just watch a video. So a lot of guys didn't even know what tapping was. They didn't know it was played with two hands. What is going on? That baffled so many players. So Eruption is just one of these Eddie moments that I think will remain for years, decades, centuries to come. There's so much more we can discover from Eddie's music. His musical legacy will remain for a long time. And with that, I'm gonna leave you with a little personal story that I had with Eddie that I experienced. Maybe not personal, but kind of. my story has to do with a song that Dweezil Zappa wrote. That was was it about 10 years ago already? Maybe, I don't know. And he invited a bunch of guitar players to play over the song. So I was one of them. Daryl Gable, Tom Quill, Oz Noy, James Santiago, like a bunch of guys recorded on that song. And at the end of the song, there was a section for this special guest. Well, the special guest recorded a solo and decided that he didn't like it. Decided that shouldn't be released. Well, Dweezil sent it to all of us who played on the album, and the artist was Eddie. Eddie played on that song, which unfortunately I'm not gonna let you hear because out of respect. He didn't want this to be out, so I won't let you hear it, but I thought it was an amazing solo. We all did. So all that to say that I guess I got an opportunity to play on a song where Eddie played also. Now Eddie's solo was eventually replaced by another great player, and that player is Frank Zappa. So Dweezil dug through some old archives of Frank's playing, and I think he took some live solos from Frank, extracted them from the multi-track recording, and pieced it together on his song. The song is Dinosaur. You can hear it today. I'll leave a link below. But that's my story with Eddie. I'm gonna leave you with just a reminder that life is really precious and that there's more. There's more to life than the guitar and music. Their relationships, just knowing who you are, knowing your purpose. There's a bigger story. So embrace life, use it for the good, enjoy Eddie's music, and thanks for watching this video. I'll see you next time, and next episode will be the one that I had planned on David Gilmour. It'll be released in a few weeks, but until then, practice well, enjoy Eddie's music, be well. I love you all. I'll see you soon.